Hey guys, and welcome to Bookmas. So today we are doing all things winter and Christmas book recs. So winter stretches through February. You don't have to read all of these just during the month of December, but some of these are like Christmas themed, I believe. I do have recommendations for books I've read, and then I have books I haven't read that are on my radar and I would like to read at some point. Probably won't be this year, but I do want to get to them at some point. So let's get into the ones that I've read. So the first one on my list is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. I read this one at the end of December last year, I believe, and I loved it. I think I've given every book, and I've only read 2 so far, but I think I've given every book in this series 3 stars, 4 stars? It might be 4 stars. I can't remember off the top of my head. But this one follows Stella Bloom, who is trying to save Love Light Farms, which is this Christmas tree farm that she has loved for her since her childhood, and she is now taken over as her own. So in order to save Love Light Farms, she ends up entering this contest that is being offered by a Instagram famous creator named Evelyn St. James, which is for a prize of $100,000 and all of the publicity that this contest offers. Now, in order to boost her chances of winning and to make the farm seem like a romantic holiday getaway, she lies on her application saying that she runs Love Light Farms with her boyfriend, which she doesn't have. She ends up asking her best friend Luke Peters if he will stand in for her, pretending to be her boyfriend in order to win this contest so that they can save Love Light Farms. This ends up being Luke's Christmas wish come true because he's had feelings for Stella. So this was a great book. I loved it. It was just so cute and cozy, and I do highly recommend. So this next one I had a physical copy but I cannot for the life of me put my hands on it right now. So this is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. I don't even know how long ago I read this book, but it was just really cute and it was fun. So this is kind of like a Groundhog Day situation. It follows Maylin Jones, who's going through a difficult time in her life, and here come the holiday seasons, and she's returning to this cabin in Utah where her family have celebrated Christmas since she was a child with 2 other families. Turns out that the family that owns the cabin is selling it this year, so this will be their last year to spend there. So as she's leaving the cabin for the last time, she has this mental thought that she throws out into the universe saying, "Please show me what will make me happy." Next thing she knows, there's the screeching of brakes, and she wakes up back on the plane on the way to Utah. So it is just one disaster after another as May tries to discover a way to get out of this time loop and get her true love under the mistletoe. So I just really enjoyed that book. I don't remember much about it. It's been a while since I've read it, but I do recommend it. It's a great holiday Christmas romance, and it's fun seeing all of the things that May goes through as she tries to not only find her happily ever after, but also find what it is that will take her out of this time loop. The next one I read last year, and it's a really cute, it's a really short, mystery. This is The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. This was my first Peter Swanson book that I've ever read, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I think I gave it 3 stars. But if you want a quick mystery with lots of twists and turns, with some twists and turns, I would recommend this one. So this follows an American art student in London who is invited to join a classmate for the holidays at their home in Starwood Hall. But secrets are about to unravel, revealing this seemingly charming English village's grim history. So this is dual timeline, and it takes place in the past, and then over 30 years later, the events of that horrific week are revisited, along with a diary from that time. What began in a small English village in 1989 reaches its ghostly conclusion in modern-day New York many Christmas seasons later. So I liked this one. It was twisty. There were different aspects of it, and it really was short. I don't think it's 200 pages. So if you're looking for a short mystery, I think it's a mystery thriller, definitely check this one out. I Borrowed the Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson from the library. So the next one on my list, I also don't have a physical copy of. I read it on my Kindle. It is on Kindle Unlimited along with the first book in this series. So that is a little caveat to this one. There is a book before this, and they are interconnected, and I would recommend reading the first one before you read this one because there are little details that are given in the first one. So the book I'm recommending is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. I loved this book, and I also really enjoyed the one before this, which was Mr. Fixer-Upper. The series follows the brother in the first one and the sister in The Christmas Fix. The Christmas Fix follows Catalina King, who is one of those DIY home renovation stars on TV. So think HGTV and things like that. So after a hurricane hits this town that is mentioned in the first book, she wants to come in and help her friends renovate their house in time for the holidays. But the thing about this town, which is called Mary, Connecticut, is they really go all in for Christmas and the Christmas festival. They have one every year, and that's really where they get their income from, all of the tourists coming to Mary, Connecticut for Christmas. But this hurricane that hit kind of destroys the town and doesn't allow for the Christmas festival this year. Enter Catalina King offering to do renovations all over the town, film it, and the city manager, Noe Yates, isn't really up for this because in the first book, after Catalina visits, some things happen, there's a bar fight, and he just finds her really disruptive, and he doesn't think she'd be good for the town. But Catalina sets out to not only prove him wrong, but to renovate her friend's house in time for the holidays. I liked this. Noah is a single father. You do see the mother at some points, but I think they have like a good relationship with each other. There's no contention between them. I loved this. I read this so fast. I love Lucy Score in general as an author, but I do highly recommend Mr. Fixer-Upper and then The Christmas Fix. Definitely worth your time. This is another one that I read on Kindle Unlimited. I think I read this 2 years ago. I was trying to get books in for my Goodreads goals, and I wanted a Nutcracker retelling, so this is one that I picked up. This is A Court of Sugar and Spice by Rebecca F. Kenny. This is like a dark fairy tale retelling. I do definitely recommend looking up trigger warnings for this. This is a spicy adult fantasy romance. So this one follows Clara and Louise, who are sisters, who have their inheritance restricted until marriage. So they are both in their 20s and living with their godfather, Drosselmeyer. So one night, an accident brings to life one of these wooden Nutcracker dolls that Drosselmeyer has in his mansion, and it turns out to be a captive Fey prince, and he asks the sisters for help to get back home. During that journey, Clara ends up meeting a sugar plum fairy, and he promises to make all of her fantasies come true. Meanwhile, Louisa and the Nutcracker Prince battle and bicker over everything. And there's also the overarching issue of the Seelie Kingdom being under threat by the Rat King, ruler of the Dread Court. This is just a fun, spicy fantasy romance. If you're looking for a fun, spicy fantasy romance, I do recommend. This is the first book in, I believe it's a duology. There is a second book, which I may pick up this year, I'm not sure, but I do highly recommend looking up trigger warnings. This is a dark, spicy fantasy romance. And moving out of spicy fantasy romances for the moment, this next one is one that I gave 5 stars. I don't necessarily know that it's winter themed, but it gives me winter cozy vibes, you know? So this is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This one follows Lucy Hart, who is a teacher's assistant and has spent her life as an orphan with a childhood marked with neglect and loneliness. But she found her solace in books, mainly in the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now at 26, she's able to share her love of reading with her students, especially a 7-year-old Christopher Lamb. Now, Christopher was left orphaned by the tragic death of his parents, and Lucy would love to adopt Christopher, but she doesn't have the proper funds and stability to support him. Enter Jack Masterson, who releases that he has finished another book, and instead of publishing and selling the book, he is offering up a game. He is offering up a contest at his home, the real Clock Island, where it is between Lucy and 4 other contestants to win the only copy of this book, and they can do whatever they want with it. They can sell it, they can keep it for themselves, they can publish it so the world can see it. So this is all of Lucy's dreams come true. She wins this copy of the book, she can sell it, and she will be able to support herself and Christopher. First, she must contend with wily contestants, ruthless book collectors, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo, Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind masters, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all of their lives forever. I loved this book, and I cannot wait until I can pick it up again. I can't even explain. It was just cozy. There were some twists and turns. There's mystery. There's a touch of romance. And seeing Lucy and all of her thoughts surrounding this book series and how much she loves to read and how much she wants to share that with Christopher, it's just beautiful. So I do highly recommend this book. I loved this. And then we have the final one of the ones I've read before I get into the recommendations. And this is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is a mystery thriller that also have touches of horror. So this was my first step into horror. And I read this book in one day. And I feel like I read it in 3 or 4 hours. It was really quick to get through. I really enjoyed it. So this follows Darby Thorne, who is a college student who is stranded at a rest stop during a blizzard as she's on her way home to see her sick mother. As she steps out to make a phone call, trying to get signal, she takes a look into this van and sees a child locked in a dog cage in the back of this van. So now she's stuck at this rest stop with 4 complete strangers. There's no cell service. There's no telephone. There's no way out because of the snow. And she doesn't know which of these people is the owner of that van with the child inside. So lots of questions, lots of mystery. I don't know. This was my first shot in the horror, so I don't even know if I would classify it as a horror, but I really did enjoy this. And I love this book. All right, now I haven't read the rest of these books, so I'm going to do my best to summarize them. Some of them I have, some of them are on Kindle, and some of them I don't have, but I'm interested in, so I'm trying to get some of them from the library, but we'll see how this goes. The first one I have is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is a book I've seen everywhere, and I've seen it I've seen it positively reviewed. So this takes place in the Russian wilderness, where winter lasts most of the year, and the snowdrifts are taller than the houses. It follows Vasilia, who doesn't mind the snow. She spends the winter nights huddled around the embers of a fire with her beloved siblings and listening to her nurse's fairy tales. Above all, she loves the chilling story of Frost, the blue-eyed winter demon who appears in the frigid night to claim unweary souls. Wise Russians fear him, her nurse says, and honor the spirits of house and yard and forest that protect their homes from evil. But after her mother dies, her father goes to Moscow and brings home a new wife. Fiercely devout, city-bred, her new stepmother forbids her family from honoring the household spirits. The family agrees, but Vasilia is frightened, sensing that more hinges on the rituals than anyone knows. And so the crops begin to fail, evil creatures of the forest creep near, and misfortune stalks the village. All the while, Vasilia's stepmother grows ever harsher in her determination to groom her rebellious stepdaughter for either marriage or confinement to a convent. As danger circles, Vasilia must defy even the people she loves and call on dangerous gifts she has long concealed. In order to protect her family from a threat that seems to have stepped from her nurse's most frightening tales. So this just seems like a very interesting, I want to say mythological tale. I don't know. But I've heard great things and I have been interested, so it's really just a point of me picking it up. Then we have One by One by Ruth Ware. I've never read a Ruth Ware, and I think this one is kind of compared to something by Agatha Christie. So One by One by Ruth Ware kind of pays homage to and If There Were None by Agatha Christie. So this follows a group getting snowed in at a beautiful rustic mountain chalet. Doesn't sound like the worst problem in the world, especially when there's a breathtaking vista, a cozy fire, and company to keep you warm. But what happens when that company is 8 of your coworkers and you can't trust any of them? When an offsite company retreat meant to promote mindfulness and collaboration goes utterly wrong, when an avalanche hits, the corporate food chain becomes irrelevant, and survival trumps togetherness. Come Monday morning, how many members short will the team be? So yeah, I guess it's a locked room and the people start dying one by one. So sounds interesting. I have been getting a little into Agatha Christie, and I hear that Ruth Ware is kind of like the modern day Agatha Christie, so we'll see. Then we have Beartown by Fredrik Backman. Most recently, I've seen this read by Sarah Caroli on BookTube, and she really enjoyed it, so I do kind of want to pick this up. This follows a small town with a big dream and the price required to make it come true. So I guess it's that the Beartown is finished, and then there's NiceRank, which is the reason the people in Beartown believe tomorrow will be better than today. Their junior ice hockey team is about to compete in the national semifinals, and they actually have a shot at winning. All the hopes and dreams of this place now rest on the shoulders of a handful of teenage boys. Being responsible for the hopes of an entire town is a heavy burden, and the semifinal match is the catalyst for a violent act that'll leave a young girl traumatized and a town in turmoil. Accusations are made, and like ripples on a pond, they travel through all of Beartown, leaving no resident unaffected. Beartown explores the hopes that bring a small community together, the secrets that tear it apart, and the courage it takes for an individual to go against the grain. This just sounds like so like thought-provoking and, I don't know, moving, and I'm really interested to pick up something by Fredrik Backman, and I believe this one's also been turned into like a movie or TV show. Then we have another author that I really want to pick up. This is The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, another one that I believe has been read by Sarah Crowley and recommended. So this takes place in Alaska in 1974, where a former POW comes home from the Vietnam War and decides to make an impulsive decision and move his entire family to Alaska, along with his 13-year-old Lenny. She's desperate for a place to belong. Her mother, Cora, will do anything and go anywhere for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. So I think this is just the portrait of youth, human frailty, and resilience. Kristin Hannah reveals the indomitable character of the modern American pioneer and the spirit of a vanishing Alaska, place of incomparable beauty and danger. The Great Alone is a daring, beautiful, stay-up-all-night story about love and loss, the fight for survival, and the wildness that lives in both man and nature. This just sounds so good. And I think all of Kristin Hannah's books sound good, but this is a Winter Rex video and it takes place in Alaska. But I do really want to get into Kristin Hannah, maybe next year. So I said earlier that I was stepping into Agatha Christie, and one of those books is Murder on the Orient Express. So it's just after midnight, the snowdrift stops the famous Orient Express in its tracks as it travels through the mountainous Balkans. The luxurious train is surprisingly full for the time of the year, but by the morning, it is one passenger fewer. An American tycoon lies dead in his compartment, stabbed a dozen times, his door locked from the inside. And one of the other passengers is, of course, Hercule Poirot on vacation. So, isolated and with a killer on board, Poirot must identify the murderer in case he or she decides to strike again. So, I have this gorgeous edition that I believe I got from Waterstones, but I have been wanting to step into Agatha Christie's books, and I recently read Marple, which is 12 short stories written by 12 modern authors, but as Agatha Christie. You know what I mean? So I do want to pick this up this year or next year, the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? And the next one we have is also a Kristin Hannah book. This is The Winter Garden. I'm just gonna read this one because it's short, but Meredith and Nina Whitson are as different as sisters can be. One stayed at home to raise her children and manage the family apple orchard. The other followed a dream and traveled the world to become a famous photojournalist. But when their beloved father falls ill, Meredith and Nina find themselves together again, standing alongside their cold, disapproving mother, Anya, who even now offers no comfort to her daughters. As children, the only connection between them was the Russian fairy tale Anya sometimes told the girls at night. On his deathbed, their father extracts a promise from the women in his life. The fairy tale will be told one last time, all the way to the end. Thus begins an unexpected journey into the truth of Anya's life in war-torn Leningrad more than 5 decades ago. Alternating between the past and present, Meredith and Nina will finally hear the singular, harrowing story of their mother's life, and what they learn is a secret so terrible and terrifying that it'll shake the very foundation of their family and change who they believe they are. I have nothing to say to that. I definitely want to pick that up. I love that Kristen Hanna's books sound like they're so emotionally captivating, and I do want to pick up at least one Kristen Hanna book within the winter season. This is a new release, I believe, for this year, and this is The Christmas Murder Game by Alexander Benedict. So in this one, Lily Armitage is invited back to the Endgame house by her aunt. She's not been back to the house in 21 years since her mother was murdered, and she had no intention of claiming the house that haunts her dreams. But when her aunt invites her back, she not only tells her that, you know, this year we're playing for the house, but you also might get some clues to the death of your mother. So Lily must compete with her strange cousins for the 12 days of Christmas. The snow is thick, the phone lines are down, and no one is getting in or out. Lily will have to keep her wits about her because not everyone is playing fair, and there is no telling how many will die before the winner is declared. This just sounds so interesting. It's 12 clues, 12 keys, 12 days of Christmas, but how many will die before the 12th night? And apparently there are little like hide and seek clues also for the reader within the book, so very interesting. Next we have The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. This is the third and I believe final book in the Ex-Hex series, which is the Ex-Hex, The Kiss Curse, and The Wedding Witch. This follows the third and I believe oldest brother, Bowen Penhallow, who's always been a loner studying dark and ancient magic in the mountaintops of Wales. He prefers it that way, but when his friend Declan, who happens to be a ghost, asks him to attend a Yuletide wedding at a grand estate deep in the Welsh countryside, Bowen reluctantly agrees. Then we have Tamsin Bly, who is not a witch, but she makes her living off them as a procurer and seller of magical items. Tamsin's business is not always above board, but she's been trying to fix that, mostly. Bowen is an occasional customer, as well as the star of several of Tamsin's dirtiest dreams. But she's been around enough witches to know that as a human, getting involved with one is not the smartest idea. She's finagled an invite to the witchy wedding of the century in the hopes of finally making a score big enough to retire. Just one priceless magical artifact from Tywell House would set her up for life. But Tamsin's the only one sneaking about Tywell, and the mix of a very strong spell combined with a wedding mishap transports Bowen and Tamsin into the house's past, to the Yuletide celebration of 1957. As Bowen and Tamsin work together to get back to the present, they must also face off with the origins of the house's haunting, the suspicions of their fellow witches, and also the fact that somewhere between the mistletoe and the bonfire, they might also be falling in love. I loved both the Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse, so I've really been looking forward to The Wedding Witch to come out, and I cannot wait to pick this book up. It is perfect for the holiday season, and I can't wait to pick it up. The next one is one I think I've heard of, but I'm not sure where I've heard of it. It's The Toy Makers by Robert Dindale, so I'm just going to read this tagline. The Emporium opens with the first frost of winter. It is the same every year. Across the city, when children wake to see ferns of white stretched across their windows, or walk to school to hear ice cracking underfoot, the whispers begin. The Emporium is open. So it's 1917, and London has spent years in the shadow of the First World War. In the heart of Mayfair, though, there's a place of hope. A place where children's dreams can come true, where the impossible becomes possible. And that place is Papa Jack's Toy Emporium. For years, Papa Jack has created and sold his famous magical toys. Hobby horses, patchwork dogs, and bears that seem alive. Toy boxes bigger on the inside than out. Instant trees that sprout from boxes. Tin soldiers that can fight battles on their own. Now his sons Casper and Emil are just old enough to join the family trade. Into this family comes a young Catherine Ray, homeless and vulnerable. The Emporium takes her in, makes her one of its own. But Kathy's about to discover that while all toy shops are places of wonder, only one is truly magical. Next we have a new release. This is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ally Carter. This one sounds so funny. It's Knives Out gets a holiday rom-com twist and a rivals to lovers romance mystery. So the bridge is out, the phones are down, and the most famous mystery writer in the world just disappeared out of the locked room 3 days before Christmas. So this is between Maggie Chase and Ethan Wyatt. She is the new queen of cozy mystery, and he is a big-time thriller guy. She hates his guts, and he thinks her name is Marcy, no matter how many times she corrects him. But when they both accept a cryptic invitation to attend a Christmas house party at the English estate of a reclusive fan, neither is expecting their host to be the most powerful author in the world. Eleanor Ashley, the Duchess of Death herself. That night, the weather turns, and the next morning, Eleanor is gone. She vanished from a locked room, and Maggie has to wonder, is Eleanor in danger, or is it all some kind of test? Is Ethan the competition, or is he the only person in a snowbound mansion that she can trust? As the snow gets deeper and the stakes get higher, every clue will bring Maggie and Ethan closer to the truth and each other. Because this Christmas, these two rivals are going to have to become allies, and maybe more, if they have any hope of saving Eleanor, assuming they don't kill each other first. So that one just sounds so fun. I was able to get a ARC copy from NetGalley that I unfortunately have not read yet, but very much looking forward to that. And that was the last book. Those are a lot. I will have all of them listed down below if you are interested. And please let me know in the comments, have you read any of these? Do you recommend them? If you don't recommend them, why? Are you interested in picking any of these up? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and don't forget to pick up a good book. Bye.